We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of What Was That Live? Hey. All right, it is Wednesday, January 24th. How is everybody doing? Last we spoke was last night. We talked about what was going on. It was actually pretty close to what I was saying in terms of the final results. If we look at, let me just pull this up right now, but I think what I had said was it would probably be like 54-55 to like a 44-45 kind of split. I mean, obviously there's a 1 or so percent that was for other in the category, but I think that was the number that we had kind of settled on. And obviously I said, unless something crazy happens, this will probably be pretty close to what we'd see in the outcome. So if we look at the New Hampshire primary results, right, we see that one, we already knew that the end result was going to be one that Donald Trump won, right? We already knew that going into it, and we knew that when we watched it live. And what we see here is that it was pretty close. It was 54-43, what the end outcome was. So if I show you guys what I'm looking at here, as I'm sure that you guys also watched or followed along after the fact. But here we have Donald J. Trump went to New Hampshire Republican primary. We all knew that. We knew going into it that he was going to win. It was all about the question of the margin. How much was he going to win by? Because what we have here is Donald Trump really versus independent voters and voters who had changed their registration before October 6th, because that was the big claim that Donald Trump was talking about. He was saying his fear, and that the one that he was projecting onto everyone, was it was voter fraud. It's a rigged election. He actually won the primary, and we'll play the videos of him during his, I guess what you call it, his winning speech. But what we have here is we have Donald Trump again projecting his fears and his concerns and his insecurities about Nikki Haley onto the New Hampshire primary. So as he leaves the Iowa caucus and she's in third place, then Ron DeSantis comes out and says, oh, you know what? I actually do want to back Donald Trump because he's a coward and he has no spine. And I actually just finished an episode. So after this episode airs right now, this live version, I will release the finished episode of the scripted episode of What Was That, which is on this topic exactly, which is about not only the concern that Donald Trump has for Nikki Haley, but more specifically, the lack of spine, the spineless characteristic of Ron DeSantis, making the whole campaign about how Donald Trump was going to lead the Republican Party into a loss. If they backed him, it would cause another string of losses for an election. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I mean, we can go over the successes of Joe Biden. We can go over the fact that he defends Americans. He actually supports America First policies that invest back into us, Americans, and our country, versus Republicans who do the complete opposite. And so that episode will be coming live after this is finished streaming. But when we look at this, we see that Donald Trump only won by a margin of 11%, and yesterday it was all about like, okay, I think we had 5 delegates remaining to be assigned. And now we're looking at 1 delegate off, right? There's 22 total, and we've got 21 right here. But the total count in the end, he only won by 11% exactly when it comes to the point differential, right? The margin that he got was supposed to be much greater. That's what he was boasting about. He's like, I'm going to win Iowa by 60 points over Nikki Haley. I'm going to win New Hampshire by double digits, 20, 30, 40, whatever he was claiming. But then what you see here is you find that Donald Trump did win, but he didn't win by a lot. And there's a clip that I'll play too, which is it goes to show you that there are independent voters, and we talked about the silver lining last night, that there are people who actually have common sense and have logical reasoning to say, if we follow this man, then we are going to find ourselves without a democracy. We are going to find ourselves with the tatters and the shambles of democracy at our feet. We have a guy who has gone on record, done speeches, interviews as well, as saying that he just wants to be a dictator for a day. And we all know that dictators are never just, oh, let me just get a sampling for 24 hours. And they say, that was good enough. Now let's go back to democracy. Never have we ever seen a dictator say, nah, this is plenty. I got my fixing. Boom. What you have is a guy who is saying it out loud, and you have supporters who are saying, yes, we do want a dictator. We do want a guy who wants to remain in office. And we also have to remember that Donald Trump is making claims about Joe Biden, saying that, as a result, he's making claims about Joe Biden. But when he's fighting, he's trying to fight all these cases saying, like, I had the power as president to take these classified documents. I have the power to make these decisions and choices. And if you come after me, you're only going after the office of the presidency. You're going after the constitutional standard that has been set. But what Republicans, especially Donald Trump, but what Republicans in general also never seem to understand is when they make these legal arguments, when they make these, what they think is a winning argument, it really, when you flip it to the other side, is saying that, well, if you're saying that you yourself, Donald Trump, can do these things, you can take documents, you can overturn the election, you can install yourself for 4 years and beyond, then you're making a legal precedent, and you're making this argument that Joe Biden can do the very same. If you're getting upset at this thing that you wouldn't be able to, you couldn't do because it wasn't fair, then you have to realize that on the flip side, Joe Biden could easily say, great, I have those powers installed in this role right now, so I don't plan to leave. I plan to name whoever my successor is. I could make it my son's laptop. I could make it my son's naked photo, like whatever he wants to do, right? They have to realize that when they make these arguments, and I've talked about it before on this show, and I've talked before with Tony Michaels on the podcast, which is they never future-proof their arguments. Their messaging never is future-proofed, because they'll say, oh, Joe Biden sticker, I did that on a gas pump, not realizing that gas prices would eventually go down after implementing measures that are Democratic policies. You have people who are saying, Donald Trump, he's taking credit for overturning Roe v. Wade. That was something I did. That was something that I've been trying to do for 50 years. That was me. He's making this argument, which is a losing argument. If you have not watched state elections and local referendums and decisions made by the states themselves, you have to realize that, and they don't, but you know, as I'm sure in the audience know, that these are losing arguments. Do not go after women's bodily autonomy and their rights. If you do, in fact, make it states' rights and let the states decide, as in, I'm a citizen and I can decide with the majority of people who are voting on whatever policy might be, if it does go, in fact, the opposite direction that you wanted it to go, you can't get butthurt about it. You can't have a tantrum. You can't get upset. You can't say no fair, because you made the rules. You said it was states' rights. So Donald Trump, the Republican Party has not only are they a losing party with Donald Trump, as we've seen in 2018, 2020, 2022. These are supposed to be red waves and all of these things that are supposed to overtake the House, overtake the Senate, overtake local elections. What you've now seen is that when you run with Donald Trump, when you run with MAGA candidates, run with MAGA policies, you have to say it's a losing argument. You have to understand that that is a losing argument. But Donald Trump, he doesn't have any accomplishments, as we talked about yesterday. He doesn't have any policies that he can stand on to say, I did this thing and it made America great. It made America great again. Because what you end up seeing is, I actually made America shittier. I stripped away regulations. I stripped away human rights. I stripped away common, inalienable rights that everyone should have. Protections. I don't want to be educated. I don't want you to have health care. I don't want you to be safe. I don't want the democracy. So what you see here is you've got a guy campaigning on something that's causing the Republican Party to lose and everything that follows. And specifically, he continues to campaign on, and Joe Biden and the Democrats are doing a great job of leaning into the fact that, especially as we just passed the anniversary, you have Donald Trump taking credit for stripping away women's rights. And you also have people, I mean, even Trey Gowdy was on Fox News talking to the correspondents and saying, look, people in my own state and other states that are red are not happy with the fact that there are innocent women who are going to jail or being fined by being the victim of rape. I mean, the idea that you say that you're pro-life, the idea that you say that you're going to protect human rights, the idea that you say that you want to, make sure that the child is safe and the mother is safe and all these things, but as a result, you're going to now punish the mother. So then as a turn, you're going to imprison the mother once she has the baby, and then you're going to then force the baby into childcare, and you're going to put it through the foster system, thus creating an unstable living condition. Key development years for children. You're going to say, oh, actually, you know what? We don't actually want a safe single, we don't want a family there to raise them. We want to leave them amongst other kids who don't have families. That's what Republicans want. And that's, as a result, you have Trey Gowdy saying the quiet part out loud, which Republicans know but aren't willing to talk about. Their policies are regressive. Their policies are taking rights away from people, and their policies are jailing, fining, imprisoning people like innocent women and doctors who help women in these procedures, whether it's an abortion or it's another procedure that's there to save their life, because God forbid it, a doctor is pro-life, right? That's all that the Republican Party chants about: pro-life, pro-life, pro-life. But when it really comes down to it and they're challenged about it, there's nothing there in their core that is pro-life. They'll abandon you to eat shit, essentially. So what we have here is you have Nikki Haley supporters, one, but then you also have independent voters or Democrats who switched over, which, is totally a legal and fair thing to do. October 6th was the deadline. You could switch your party affiliation. So people on the Democratic side or independent or whatever saw this as an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to switch my party affiliation. And there was nothing against the rules on that. The thing that Donald Trump was saying and promoting and boasting and pushing out there was that there was this wild conspiracy that there were a bunch of Democrats who were registered as Democrats coming into the New Hampshire primary. And again, this is them they have their own projection and fear, and they're trying to put out an excuse before the unimpressive win came out in its numbers, which was Donald Trump not winning by more than 11%. And the whole night, it was back and forth. It was like 7, it was 8, it was 7, it was 9, it was 10, it was 11, and that's where it finished. So this is what we have here is independent voters or Democrats who saw this as a strategic move to go in. They would not register or they would not support Nikki Haley in the general, but they're pushing up against this idea that Donald Trump is the only path forward. He's the only candidate for the Republican Party. Pushing a signal through the noise to say, hey, guys, you have a chance here. One is we don't support this guy or his bigoted fascistic policies, but we also want you to know that there are people with common sense out there. There are people with brains that have two brain cells rubbing together to say, hey, wait, maybe what they're doing and they're proposing isn't okay, is not right. So there's one video specifically that I wanted to show you where there is a voter that's talking with CNN, and we played one yesterday where there was a 74-year-old Republican voter. She has voted Republican in the past. She voted in 2016. She was regretfully, after which she was like, I regretted it almost immediately. Then in 2020, she voted for Joe Biden, and in 2024, she's going to vote for Joe Biden again. And she is a Republican. Her father fought in World War II, veteran. She holds American ideals and policies forward. And I'm sure that if we were to talk about what we believe in, she wouldn't agree with me, right? We wouldn't agree on everything. But if there's one thing that we agree on is that Donald Trump and the MAGA cult that is standing behind him and trying to aggressively, with force and violence, push their way through, as they did on the Capitol on January 6th, that's not okay. That's something that people with, again, two brain cells rubbing together say, no, 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 no. Look, I'm Republican and I believe in certain things, but I'm not willing to accept that path that they want. Because as soon as we accept that as normal, as soon as we accept that as the path forward and say, well, that's what it is what it is, we've lost everything. We've lost any chance we have at survival of this little experiment that we like to call democracy. And it's, and the experiment that is our country is not perfect. We know that. We have lots of sins that we have to account for and lots of issues that we have not fixed. And it is a long path before things can get better. But it is for the very reason and hope that I have in people in the audience and your family and your friends and other people in your community who vote, as well as myself, my family, my friends, and so on and so forth. There is a silver lining. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train, it's a way out. And it's by us voting, voicing our support, and saying, no, we do not accept this outcome. We do not accept a way in which Donald Trump is the path forward. Let me see if I can find this one clip. But it's a kid, and I would have to say he's, I don't know, probably pretty young, activated young voter who has come out and said that he's not okay with, let's see if this is it. He's not okay with the idea of Donald Trump, but also he wouldn't vote for Nikki Haley in the general election, but it was a strategic move is the exact language that he used. So if we look at this, right, we've got, or it's MSNBC, sorry. Before I said it was CNN, but this is MSNBC. So
a strategic vote.
Christian, who did you vote for and why?
Yeah, so thank you. I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. I think the DNC is fairly resolute in their nomination for Joe Biden. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, particularly on our differences with climate change solution, a women's right to bodily autonomy, or incarceration rates, I think a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence in the RNC and their nomination, but is also a vote towards democracy.
And Christian is emblematic of so many conversations that I've had here throughout the day.
So here we go. We've got a kid. If I had to guess, he's probably early 20s, right? Probably a college student. He could be older, but he looks younger. It's the fact that there are people out there, again. Now, we know, and we can clearly identify him as either an independent voter or he is a Democrat who changed his registration legally, and then voted, because again, you had to change it as October 6th. That was the deadline. Donald Trump would like everyone to believe that you could just show up. You could show up as an unregistered Republican or independent voter. You could say, oh, look at all these Democrats are showing up on the day. Well, guess what? They legally changed their voter registration. They showed up and they changed their voter registration before, as in October 6th was the deadline, and they did the legal process. Because they said, look, as I've said, as Tony has said, as other people have said on Midas Touch, we know that Donald Trump is the nominee. There is no way to look, months, even last year when it was first announced, the fact that Kevin McCarthy helped rehabilitate Donald Trump's image after January 6th to say, oh, this guy is so depressed. Even Liz Cheney's book, she revealed this. She said, I had a conversation with Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy went down to Mar-a-Lago to help rehabilitate Donald Trump's image because he was depressed. He was so depressed he wouldn't eat. Honestly, for Donald Trump's sake, he could probably benefit from not eating a little bit, okay? The guy eats nothing but fast food, doesn't exercise, can't drink water. He's like, ugh. Donald Trump could and probably would benefit from a little bit of a diet. Maybe he can get into intermittent fasting. Probably would be beneficial for his health. But Donald Trump, so depressed he wouldn't eat. So Kevin McCarthy goes down there, tail between his legs, and helps rehabilitate Donald Trump's image. Before that, Republicans had pointed the finger and said Donald Trump is to blame. Now, not all of them voted against him when it came to impeachment, but they all publicly said that was a disgrace. That was Donald Trump. He should have spoken up earlier. He should have said something. He waited hours and hours and hours, and he didn't do anything. And he still has not accepted the results of the 2020 election. I mean, even if you look at Susan Collins, right? She was unwilling. She was a vote that helped acquit Donald Trump during impeachment to say Donald Trump has learned a very big lesson here. Really? Okay, let's fast forward to 2024, even 2022, 2023. Are you honestly going to tell me, Susan Collins, that Donald Trump has learned his lesson? The guy is openly talking about being a dictator. He's openly talking about shutting down the free press. He doesn't like New York Times. He doesn't like MSNBC, CNN, anyone who speaks against him. It's crazy. There was a guy, I don't know, I want to say maybe like during the 30s, who had a strategy of going in and shutting down the free press. Starts with an H and ends with Hitler. You might know him. Got a little fuzzy mustache up here, a little square rectangle kind of thing. Yeah. That person came in and said there was no way that anyone else can speak truth. If no one else can speak, then as a result, ipso facto, the only person you can trust is me. And that is what Donald Trump's strategy is. If there is fake news, and I've said this before, I mean, for years now, right? It's the strategy that is of fascist to shut down free press, to shut down the spread of freely moving, truthful information. But what they'd rather do is close those things down and only allow their truth to be shown. And when you indoctrinate enough people and you spread only one message around, then you find that that's the truth that is known. No, this thing never happened. No, these people never died. No, this, that, whatever. Donald Trump openly talking about to be a dictator. Susan Collins was the person that helped push him forward to say, oh, well, you know what? I think he'll learn his lesson. And there's no reason that I see that he'll ever do this again. Really? Really? We're gonna go with that? That's the excuse and strategy we want? You cannot tell me, after watching Donald Trump the first 4 years in office and the way in which he treated people, talked about people, and implemented policies, that he was not going to come back and say, oh, you know what, guys, I learned my lesson. You know, second chances, I rehabilitated myself, and now I am one full of love and compassion, and I will never try this again. No. You just ousted a guy who was so upset that he didn't win the election because enough people, either they voted for Joe Biden or most likely there were enough people who said, I just fucking hate Trump. I do not want that guy as president. He made my life and my family's life and my friends and these communities a living hell. He didn't handle COVID. The economy went to shit. He didn't have these policies. He took away these protections. Go down the list. Donald Trump has no accomplishments, no successful policies that he put in place that actually made America great. And I know that I'm speaking to the choir. I'm preaching to the choir here, but it needs to be said. So when we see people like this, these young voters who either are independent or Democrats who changed their party affiliation in voter registration before October 6th of 2023 in a legal way, they did their part in saying, you know what? We're not all fucking crazy, whether or not they're Republican or not. But the idea that these people stood up and said, you know what? I voted for Nikki Haley just to put up a front against Donald Trump. Now, I won't vote for Nikki Haley in the general election, but I'm willing to, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And that is the strategy that we need to play here. If you live in any of these other states where primaries are on the ballot, right? You've got South Carolina coming up, wherever you might live where Donald Trump has a bit of an edge and you have changed your party affiliation, obviously legally, because that was the requirement. There's nothing wrong with that. That's you playing, you're playing chess. Donald Trump is playing checkers. That's playing chess. That's saying, hey, look, I participate in this one. I mean, here's the other thing too is like Republicans, and this is why they won't do this. Republicans are like, hey, wait, that's unfair. And I'm watching it all online right now. MAGA is kicking and screaming because they think that it's unfair that somebody followed the rules. But Republicans can't do that. They cannot match that gameplay, right? So this is why I say this is chess, and Donald Trump is playing checkers. MAGA is playing checkers because all they're doing is responding and complaining that Democrats and independent voters change their party affiliation to either independent, or they change their party affiliation to Republican. Republicans couldn't do that. I mean, they could if they wanted, but what would be the point? Because if that's one less Republican voting in the Republican primary, when you have Republican candidates, they can't switch their votes to Democrat because they wouldn't be able to participate. If they did, that would be, voter fraud. The very thing that they claim that nobody should be able to do and that Democrats only do. So when you see Donald Trump and MAGA play checkers, this is what I mean. Democrats look at this and say, you know what? Fine. We'll change our affiliation. Our party, we'll change how we're registered. We'll change from Democrats to Republicans for these primaries because we know that the incumbent, Joe Biden, is our nominee. So I'm not at risk of my vote going away to a red party voter, right? They cannot change. So they're over here now complaining to say, oh, this is not fair. That's not fair. You guys can't do this. Yes, they can. It is fair. It is legal. It is the way in which the rules were made. If they want to change their party affiliation and how they're registered as voters, they totally could. They totally could. But it would hurt their party because that would be one less vote for Donald Trump because it doesn't matter. You look at New Hampshire, Joe Biden was a write-in candidate, and he won by a landslide. The incumbent. Joe Biden doesn't need help because the only other person that's Marianne Williamson, is she even out there? I have no idea. Is she still running? Then you've let me see if I can pull up the results of this. Let's see. I think, actually, is she still in it? I knew that Phillips was in it, but I guess Williamson is still in it too. But you have these people who, by the way, have no chance. Look at this. This is the end result of here we go. Let's just play this clip. Joe Biden, 78.3%, and Dean Phillips, 13 point. He got 283 votes. But again, this is the primary, right? So you have to look at this. If we go back to this, look at this. It's not even, and this is not the end result, but this is 2% in, right? 2% of the vote that was in last night. You have to look at this and say that there's no way that any one of these other people, Dean Phillips, Marianne Williamson, all they do is complain. They say, this is not fair. I didn't get a Twitter Spaces with Elon Musk. This is not fair. I didn't get the same. Dean Phillips is on Fox News talking to Steve Doocy and saying, oh, Joe Biden won't return my phone calls. Why would he? Why would he return it? Dude, he's running a country. Why would he make the time to take your phone calls? What have you done and what are you doing to be a challenge or a better alternative to Joe Biden, even if you do not agree with Joe Biden's policies? I mean, look at the results. Look at the results of what the Democratic Party has accomplished in the last 3 years. 3 years that this party has been in power, and look what they've done. They've invested in America. They've invested back into jobs. They've invested back into reducing inflation. They've invested to, increasing oil reserve production. These are all things that Republicans complained about. Oh no, the high prices. Yeah, high prices fucking suck for all of us, including myself and you and everyone else. But when you look at the actual results that have been delivered by Joe Biden and the Democrats, you have to say, wow, they did a pretty good job. Look, again, America, the U.S., we're not perfect. It's still an experiment. We're still working and modifying and adjusting this machine. We'll never be perfect. It's the same way that when I see people say, "Oh, well, that's not the bill that I wanted. That's not the healthcare that I wanted." Everything is meant to be a building block. You're never going to get it perfect on the first time. That is literally impossible. You will never achieve perfection the first time through, because you're going to do something and say, "Hey, look, I got to compromise with someone on the other side just to get this pushed, but I can get in 40% of what I want or 50% of what I want or whatever the metric might be, enough where I'm able to build on that later on." To say, if I implement the foundation right now, then later on in my term, or my predecessor or whatever, my successor or whoever it might be, is able to build on that on a local level, on a state level, national level, whatever it might be. But Republicans love to just cut everything away and say, we'll start with nothing and keep it at nothing because we have no better alternative. Republicans want to cut everything, then complain when things go wrong and say, it was the Democrats that did it. Was it? Or was it the fact that there was something there that your constituents benefited from? And now, once you've stripped it away, you have something wrong to then blame on the party that didn't vote to strip it away. Right? Like, you've got broadband, internet access going to rural areas that didn't have it before. You've got provisions to cap insulin at $35 that wasn't there before, even though Donald Trump and the Republicans said that they were going to do this. Donald Trump said, 2 weeks, I'm going to have a healthcare plan. Never did he have it. Never did he produce anything. It's always been 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, right? He had an interview with Chris Wallace before the 2020 election and said, my plan is coming in 2 weeks and voters will know that they can support me for the president of the United States because I can deliver. We've never seen that plan. We've never seen him deliver on the promises that he said, other than the ones that were regressive, other than the policies that he said, I'm going to strip away, I'm going to cut taxes for the rich, I'm going to make sure that only my friends and the Republican Party, you know, those who are benefiting from those cuts will get, but not the constituents, not the common people, not the poors. The Republicans look at that as saying, well, you know, it is what it is, and I can't do anything about it, even though these people voted them in to make their lives easier, to make their lives better. It's truly something where every day I'm like, can you guys get any dumber? And I know that people are like, oh, don't call them dumb. Look, man, I'm fed up. I am fed up with people trying to excuse these outdated, regressive, bigoted policies that strip away things from even Republicans. Even people on the other side is like, I don't agree with them. But the idea that Republicans are wanting to push forward policies that take away things like education, healthcare, jobs, you know, any number of things. Because again, if Republicans don't have anything to complain about, then what are they there to do? Because Republicans, we know, do not go into office willing and desiring, wanting to do the job that they were elected to do. So when people say, oh, don't make fun, no, I'm going to make fun. Because they had 4 years under Trump. They've had 3 years under Biden. And if you cannot look apples to apples comparison right now and say one was better than the other, people died. Economy went down. Jobs went down. Inflation went up. We were on the brink of a recession. Some might argue that we had a recession. Then you look at what Joe Biden did, you know, infrastructure, chips, jobs, increasing the oil production. These are things that we see when you say, hey, there's a problem. Let's address the problem. That's what Democrats do. They deliver. They deliver. You can't argue any way other than that. They look at a problem. They call out the bullshit, which is Donald Trump and the Republican Party has been obsessed with Joe Biden, saying that Joe Biden and his family are corrupt, which is cute and, you know, pretty much the pot calling the kettle black here, because we know that Donald Trump took money. He had foreign bank accounts. He benefited financially from companies that were in China and other places. His family benefited. We had an accelerated approval of patents in China for Ivanka Trump. We had $600 million or so that was generated for Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. We had Jared Kushner getting $2 billion from the Saudis, even though he has no experience and no expertise in that field. And then you have James Comer and Jim Jordan and Donald Trump and Paul Gosar and Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and Steve Bannon and all these other people, whether they're pundits or political actual elected officials. They have nothing to do but complain. And we know this to be true, that whenever you see them complain, you can almost 99% of the time assume that they are projecting for their own issues. Donald Trump, Joe Biden took money. Joe Biden took foreign influence. Joe Biden did this. Then you look at Donald Trump and you say, oh, well, he never divested from his companies. He never removed himself from his bank accounts. He never wanted to report his taxes. And as soon as those things came on in 2023, because fucking ethics and other people were requesting it, then you're like, look, this is the same thing. This is the exact thing that we've been talking about. Then you look at James Comer. James Comer, someone who has made his whole personality is Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, laptop. They're corrupt. And then what do you find out is that James Comer, we found it then in this report that was done by the Daily Beast, that James Comer took $200,000, if not more. You look at the shady business dealings between his family, his brother. You look at the way in which it was land swaps. It wasn't just loans. This is what you find. This is what you see. They are, as Shoya says, they are so pathetic. I don't get it, nor do I care. Fuck them. And you know what? I honestly don't care. If you still support Trump after 4 years and then 3 years after the fact, where things were getting better, and you know how they're getting better, this is how. The way that you know that things are getting better is that Republican lawmakers voted against all of these policies and all these bills that Democrats put forward. Infrastructure, chips, whatever it might be, right? Inflation Reduction Act. You look at these bills that were passed under Joe Biden and led forward by Democrats. And you have to acknowledge and see that the only reason and way in which you know that it works is because those people who said no are now trying to take credit. These people who say, oh, well, this is socialism. This is going to make it, we're going to go into debt. We're just doubling down on trillions of debt. This is going to make us, we're going to lose our country to a bunch of communists and socialists. But then you see these Republican candidates or rather lawmakers who are elected officials, you see them go out, tweet. They go out and campaign on how they brought so much money in. I cannot be more thankful, or not really thankful, but I cannot be more excited about the billions of dollars, the 1 point whatever billion dollars that is coming to my hometown. Look at Lauren Boebert. She tried to take credit. Joe Biden showed up and was like, hey, I'm so glad that you're thankful for the thing that I helped push, even though you voted against. You have other people. You have people in Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Kentucky, Colorado, Arizona. You have all of these states, Texas, who have been beneficiaries of Democratic policies. Their constituents, red states and Republican voters and constituents, have benefited from from Joe Biden. They've not benefited from Donald Trump. They've benefited from Joe Biden and Democratic policies. So you have to look at this and say, again, if you ever were like, how do I know these things are working? You know they're working because Republicans are not trying to take credit for it. They're working because the thing that they are on record, literally, look it up. The receipts are there. Their voter, when you do the roll call and you look at how the votes came out, nearly, if not all, Republicans said no, with no alternative, right? They had nothing to say, hey, we don't agree with this, but our alternative is this. They never do. They say, we're going to strip it away. We want to defund the IRS. We want to defund the Department of Education. We want to defund the Department of Energy, we want to defund every single department that would be a checks and balance, or that would be one that would help our constituents. Because if it still exists, then it will help them and it will make us look, ineffective. That's what the problem is. And again, like I said before, if they have nothing to complain about, then they have no way to make it seem like they're doing something. Because if they can point and they complain and they bitch and moan about something, then it gives the idea that they're doing actual work. But we know that they're not, right? We know that they're not. So anyway, like I said, how you know they're working, and how I know that I'm confident, or rather, how to know that I'm confident in the fact that Joe Biden will beat Donald Trump, assuming that Donald Trump is not indicted and not put in prison before the 2024 election, which I don't see it happening, but who knows, right? Again, in this political climate, anything can happen. With the 91 felony counts, 4 indictments, or 5, with the superseding indictment, honestly, anything can happen. Obviously, crazy things have gone down, right? We saw the expulsion of George Santos by people in his own party. So really, it's anyone's game. Whether or not it happens beforehand is yet to be seen, but I don't know if I'll really expect that to happen. But again, if it does, then hey, even better. Especially because Nikki Haley going up and weakening Donald Trump at the knees to a point where maybe she bows out after a certain primary. She says, okay, I'm done. And then it's just Donald Trump. But now Donald Trump has been weakened because he spent so much more money, because that's what you're going to see. You're now going to see, because of their 11-point difference in New Hampshire, you're going to see that Donald Trump is going to campaign heavy on this. We're going to go into South Carolina. She probably won't win that, which is unfortunate because that's her home state. But what we'll see is you're going to see that Donald Trump is going to make this ugly. We saw it last night. I'll play a clip. He's going to go in to South Carolina already campaigning on the idea that she's not a citizen. He's going to lean into birtherism. He's going to say that she didn't win. He's going to say that New Hampshire was rigged because it wasn't 40, 50% win that he had. It was 11%. So when you look at South Carolina, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be dirty. She won't win. But what I do see, and you should look out for this, is Donald Trump is now going to spend way more money because Nikki Haley is a bigger threat than they originally thought. They were already talking about it. Oh my God, look at these Democrats going to go in and vote. His fears are coming true, that people hate his fucking guts. That's what it is. He's afraid of that the truth is going to come back again. 81 million people, whether they voted for Joe Biden or they voted against Donald Trump. His fear, especially as we have new people, Gen Z, becoming engaged and activated as 18-year-old voters, Donald Trump is afraid of this happening again, but by a bigger margin. Because if you look at what Joe Biden has done, right, reducing price, he's helping increase production of oil reserves, causing gas price to go down, inflation to go down. I mean, even before, at the end of the last year, he was talking about he was going to reclassifying or rescheduling marijuana, right? That was a big one. That was like, hey, it shouldn't be Schedule 1 anymore. This is not like a highly controlled substance like cocaine or something, or Donald Trump's favorite Adderall. No. This isn't as big as that. And then what happened at the end of the year? He was like, look, we're now going to clean up everyone's records. People who were brought in under charge of marijuana who are in prison, we're now going to help you out. We're now going to remove this from your record, or we're going to, help you kind of come back in without having that stain on your record, right? And Jay says, she brings up a good point right here, which is it's scheduled the same as heroin. which is insane to think about. It should not be that way. It should not be that way at all. So when you look at and then you have to look at this, Republicans are against the rescheduling to reducing the schedule from class 1 to a class 3. They're against the ability to help people who were either arrested or put in prison for a small amount of marijuana, right? These are people who were, this war on drugs. Reagan pushing this war on drugs. Republicans hating drugs on the streets. Okay, fine, but let's control the substance that actually matters here. Marijuana isn't causing people to go, become addicts on the street and lose their jobs or do this or do that, right? They're not causing people. I mean, what the last time nobody's OD'd on marijuana. The most that you'll get is you'll get high and you don't leave your couch. Maybe a little paranoid, but you don't leave your couch. You get the munchies, you order in Grubhub, and you order maybe more than you wanted to, which, hey, you get leftovers, so there's that. But when you look at the actual accomplishments or the policies that are put forward by Joe Biden, even the fact that Joe Biden was like, hey, look, I look at everyone who has tried to be a student or was a student to get a degree because that was what they needed in the marketplace, in the job industry. So we're now going to forgive those student loans. We're going to help you wipe the record so you can start debt-free and build a family, build a home, build a career, whatever it might be. Invest in yourself, because that is what Republicans hate. They hate the idea that you will invest in yourself, you will educate yourself, you will then receive knowledge, you will bestow that knowledge and share with your family, in your community. Because as soon as a community or people are educated, as soon as they wisen up, then they realize that Republican lawmakers, Republican policies, Republican bills, Republican, any one of these things, you realize, and they'll realize that actually these people are hurting us. They say that they're here for us, but they're actually hurting us. They're taking away our rights. They're making sure that we're imprisoned. 3 strikes, that type of shit. Once you educate people, that is when Republicans get afraid. That is when they become fearful. And there's one thing, there's a couple clips I want to play before the end. So one of these clips, it turns out, if anyone has been following this, I'll end up doing a What Was That on this as an episode, because it's so crazy. So Alina Habba was like, hey, we need to pause the court case right now. And we need a continuance, right? I'm sick. I've got COVID and we got some other stuff that's happening. We need a continuance to give us a day. And the judge was like, okay. And then we find out it's the same type of bullshit that Donald Trump was. Oh no, my wife died. My ex-wife died. I need a continuance. And then they put her on the fucking back 9 with a little plate that says Ivana Trump, and let the grass overgrow. And then, obviously he gets a tax write-off and is able to, it's weird shit for a guy who doesn't actually care about his family. So here we have a similar tactic that's done by Alina Habba. Alina Habba goes to the judge and says, hey, we need a day of continuance. I got COVID. I don't, boom. Trust the science, except that's not what they're doing. So then what happens is a photo is taken by, with Alina Habba, okay? A photo is taken with the former Trump staffer, Dylan Quattrucci, which that name alone, I don't even believe that's a real name, but whatever. Dylan Quattrucci was thrown out of Trump's victory party after he posted a picture with Trump attorney Alina Habba after she told Judge Lewis Kaplan that she was feeling feverish and that at least one of her parents had tested positive for COVID-19. So Alina Habba lies about having COVID. She lies about her family, using it as an excuse to say, hey, oh, Judge, man, my parents, they got COVID-19 and I want to make sure that they're safe and I'm feeling feverish and I don't want to spread it to you. And I don't want to spread it to anyone else because, oh, God, we got to trust the science. Remember, these are the people that do not believe in science. These are the people who say that COVID was a hoax, that it was all part of the Democratic George Soros cabal. It was all that stuff, right? So she shows up. Oh my God, so dumb. But then again, Alina Habba went on an interview. She went on a podcast and she was like, oh, I was asked a question of like, would you rather be smart or pretty? And she goes, well, easy. I'd rather be pretty. I can fake being smart. No, you can't. No, you can't. We have seen in the transcripts from the court trial so far that you cannot fake being smart because you're a fucking idiot. Now, caught red-handed. Okay? Donald Trump, syphilis red-handed. Here she is taking a photo with a guy who, by the way, Quattrucci was at January 6th, and he also threatened to hang the cops. He was saying, yeah, we should hang the cops, okay? Just to give you an idea of who this person is right here. This little guy, this beta cuck right here, okay? Make America Great Again. Dylan Quattrucci, I wouldn't be surprised if he date raped someone. But I'm just saying, that's the type of people that MAGA is, right? The idea that you would take advantage of someone. That is what they do. So Alina Habba, okay? Alina Habba goes forward and says, hey, judge, we need a continuance because I'm feeling feverish and my parents, they're older, they have COVID-19. Kaplan says, oh, okay, hey, health first, right? We still got COVID around and people got it, right? Oh my God. Anyway, so she goes to the victory event because why wouldn't she? She's there to, give Donald Trump a hand. So she's there. He posts a photo, and then what happens? He gets kicked out. And here he is documenting him getting kicked out, okay? This is himself posting this video saying like, oh, I got kicked out. I don't know why I got kicked out. This is not fair. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? All right. Here he is.
I'm getting removed from the Trump event. Why do I have to leave, sir? Can you tell me why? Like, I've knocked more than 12,000 doors for President Trump. I've done everything. I'm getting kicked out right now, guys. Guys, I'm getting kicked out of the Trump event for no reason. Like, I'm just standing.
For no reason. It's because he got them in trouble. Somebody realized, oh shit, Alina Habba wasn't supposed to be there because she said they needed a continuance because the idea that she was sick. The lie that she was sick with COVID, the lie that her parents were sick. Again, I mean, you can never trust Republicans because they're all self-serving, selfish idiots. Now, what you have here, and also, I just want to point this out. This Make America Great Again hat, I just noticed this. It says 45-7. Oh my God. Okay. 45-7 means 45, 46, 47, okay? 45, 46, 47. That means Make America Great during Joe Biden's presidency and that Donald Trump was president in the 46, no, okay. It should be 45/47, 45, 47. It's not dash. Dash is, it's 2, right? It's like when you're printing pages. I've got a document. I want to tell the printer, I don't want to print all the pages. I just want to print 2 through 4, okay? I want to print 2, 3, and 4. If I wanted just 2 and 4, I'd say 2, 4. So right now, we have a hat that says 45-7, Make America Great Again, which would mean also that if Donald Trump was still the president, it would just be 45, okay? But what you have here is that it means that Make America Great Again happens while Donald Trump was president, while Joe Biden was president, and then they're hoping that Donald Trump again is president, okay? Oh my God. All right, so let's go back to it. He's complaining he's getting kicked out for no reason. He didn't do anything at all.
You're not even giving me a reason why. Why? What did I don't even know what I did. They just removed.
And also, this is the same type of mentality of people who went to the Capitol on January 6th, smeared shit on the walls, and took letters, which is a felony, federal offense, took laptops, looked property, destroyed it, vandalism, whatever, took photos, posted on Twitter, took videos, posted on Facebook. Okay. This is the same type of person who, by the way, had a video of himself on January 6th that said, let's hang these cops, right? Let's hang these people. Oh, boy. Okay, so now he's saying, oh no, I don't know why I'm getting in trouble, right? This is the same, like the people who had the FBI show up, had the police show up to their house and say, you're arrested because we have you on camera or a photo assaulting a police officer. We have you. Yes, this kid was at the insurrection. Yes. He's an insurrectionist. Let me see if I can find, actually, I'll play the rest of this clip, but let me see if I can find the
They just came up to me and said, I have to leave.
the clip.
I don't know. I saw Trevor and the guy just pointed like him to me and said, I have to leave. But I don't know. It's ridiculous. I've done more for President Trump than literally anybody in the entire state. And they're removing me from this event. That is ridiculous.
Ooh.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Big baby.
Unreal.
Oh, it's so unfair.
Unreal. They just kicked me out for no reason.
No, they had a
For no
reason.
They just came up to me and said, Dylan, you have to go.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and I'm like the biggest Trump guy here. I was the deputy director of the campaign. I've done everything I possibly can to support President Trump.
Yeah,
this is unreal.
A little too much, bro.
Unreal.
The new
Absolutely
pads
unreal.
on your.
This is how they treat loyalty in Trump world. I've done nothing but be extremely loyal to this man, and they kicked me out.
And this right here, because of course everyone is innocent. I didn't do anything wrong, guys. I'm being persecuted. This is a witch hunt. So now you have a guy who's like, I've done so much. You know, he was at the Capitol. He's an insurrectionist, all this stuff, right? He threatened violence, death against police officers. Back the blue, law and order. Just comply. And then what you have here is you have now someone from the inside saying that this is how they treat MAGA. This is how they're treating us, which is amazing. It's amazing. This is exactly what we want. We need more of this. Drive the wedge in. Drive it in between MAGA and Trump. Okay? Donald Trump has done that with every other candidate, right? He said crazy things about him. They're about other candidates. He's attacked their children. He's attacked their partners. He's gone after everything that he can because again, ad hominem and personal attacks are the only thing that Donald Trump and Republicans have because they have no policies, they have no facts, they have no actual data to prove why their bills, policies, mentalities, ideologies ever work, because they don't. Trickle-down economics doesn't work. It just doesn't work. We have 50 years, 40-something years of research. It does not work, okay? It does not work. It's been proven by the data. It's been proven decade after decade after decade. Things do not work under Republican policies, under Republican administrations. They get worse. That's why you see a cycle. Republicans trash everything. Then Democrats have to come back in and pick them up like a goddamn babysitter. And they say, okay, fine. I got to clean this mess up like a parent. Democrats are the parents and Republicans are the children. They have to come back in and fix everything. They got to fucking fix the hole in the wall. They got to pick up the toys. There's Legos on the ground. There's broken glass all over. There's moldy pizza sitting on the table. Democrats have to come back in and fix the problem. So Republicans destroy it by stripping things away and making tax write-offs and they're, making the rich get richer by giving them tax breaks and other sorts of things, that loopholes that they can benefit from so they can have more money and hoard it away from us to the working class. Then you have to see, then you look at this and you say, Democrats come in and say, I have to fix this problem. This place is a fucking shit show. It's a goddamn shit show. So then they come in and they fix it. Because remember, as I said yesterday, when you look at Republican policies, when they cut things away, quicker things happen. They're on a high from Democrats. Things are good. Republicans come in and say, oh, no, they're too good. We got to cut it. They cut it. Boom. The pendulum swings down onto one end of the spectrum, and it shows quickly how good things removed can then instantly cause damaging effects. But then that's when you see Democrats come in and say, oh, we got to fix this. So that swings you got to fix it back over. The cycle comes back. The pendulum swings the other way. But it takes longer because now that you've removed protocols and procedures, I mean, just look at the COVID response team. It was just non-existent during the Trump administration because he removed those teams. It was just Fauci. Okay? It was just Fauci, the person that was implemented years ago by a Republican. The guy who had worked on novel viruses, Ebola, HIV, all of these things. The guy is a saint when it comes to just wanting to do the Christian thing, which is make sure that people are safe. So as soon as Republicans cut policies, boom, instantly, almost instantly, you can see that damaging effects are done. Harmful effects are taken. Then Democrats come back in because things are shitty and they say, you need things to change. And people say, yeah, actually, you know what? We do need things to change. And they implement policies, but they take longer because now you have to go back and it takes time for those things to go back into effect. People need to level back up. You need to scale back up those departments. You need to rehire people and implement those policies and protocols that were done beforehand. But now, because of the damage that is done, you have to do even more to fix those problems. That is what you have going on here. You have damage that was done and rebuilding and repairing and maintaining things under the Democratic administration of Joe Biden. Let's invest in people. Let's invest in education. Let's invest in healthcare. Let's invest in making sure that people aren't incarcerated for random, extreme things, right? Trivial things like holding marijuana, right? You see a trend that's happening. Medicinal, recreational, it's going to happen where a national acceptance on a federal level will make it legal. It's going to happen, right? Even some Republicans have accepted. You look at John Boehner, that guy, as much as he cried and looked like the Grinch, who was not for this, he came in after he left office and then accepted a board position on a marijuana company. If that doesn't show you, and this was years ago after he left, if that doesn't show you the trend that is moving on things like marijuana, then you are blind. And Republicans are unwilling to accept that because like, oh, no, whoa, if we tax or we allow this industry, we might actually see the things that are in other states like Colorado, where they've got so much money. They're like, shit, we can reinvest in all these programs. We don't need federal funding because we have state level money. And Republicans are like, no, we can't have those big wins, and we can't let Democrats be those things. But then you have people like this guy, this Quattrucci dude, who's an ex-Trump staffer, and people wanted to know, like, oh, was he there on January 6th? Here he is.
Hold on. I have a message. If you are a police officer and you are going to abide by unconstitutional, if you are a police officer and you are going to abide by unconstitutional, I want you to do me a favor right now and go hang yourself because you're a piece of go.
And there you have it. Okay. There you have it. This is the guy who is so Trump, so pro-Trump, so MAGA that he is going to storm the Capitol, and he's going to tell police officers who are just doing their job, making sure that people don't cause vandalism, break in, and destroy a federal building, to keep them out. And he's saying, oh, you guys don't have the right to stop me. You don't have the right to stop any of us. And if you do stop us, I hope you hang yourself, which is like, whoa, dude, chill, man. Maybe like, I don't know, go through therapy. It's clear that you don't have a girlfriend. And if you do, then I feel very sorry for her because that relationship clearly is probably abusive. Like I said before, he's probably one of those guys like a Brock or a Turner or something like that, where you end up finding out that they did something in college where they took advantage of a woman, right? This is the type of dude. This is the epitome of MAGA, white privilege, as Jay says right here. It is white privilege. If anyone, okay, I'll just say this. If there was any congregation of non-white people at the Capitol like this, you better believe that the cops would be fucking bashing skulls. Look at every day. You get pulled over in a car. You're not white. Well, you're already at a disadvantage. You're already at risk of you're at risk of being killed, whether you're black or you're Latino or, anything else that doesn't look white. You're at risk of being a victim of police violence. And Then you have a Trump over here who is back to blue, law and order, just comply, who's saying that anyone who is doing their job as a law enforcement blue officer should go hang themselves. And this is how you know that Republicans don't actually care about the things that they claim they do. They do not care about the blue. They do not care about police. They do not care about laws. They do not care about order, justice, or anything. They care about selfish, self-serving things that help them but not others, right? And it's gross and it's disgusting. But when I look at you in the audience, I look at myself, I look at my friends and family. I know that you guys have friends and family. Obviously, we have Trumpers out there and MAGA and everything. We're not going to change their minds. But there are more of us than they are of them. They are the minority. The minority, and you know how they're, and you want to know how they are the minority. Just like I said before, you want to know how things are working for Joe Biden. It's when Republicans try to take credit for their accomplishments. His accomplishments. I mean, so much so that Joe Biden was like, all right, fine. You want to take credit for it? I'm going to put my name on the highway sign that says, thank you, Joe Biden, for this infrastructure act. That is how you know that they are afraid, but also that because they're taking credit, you know that they're working. If it wasn't working, they would be shitting on it all day, being like, that's why we told you shouldn't put this money in there, but now they're taking credit for it. Every person who voted no is now taking credit for those things. And so when you look at Republicans, you look at them, they're just hypocrites. They're terrible people. The reason that I know that there are more of us than there are of them, us Democrats or progressives or people who just believe in democracy, is because the minority is trying to suppress the majority. Again, there was a guy in the 30s, had a little bit of a broom mustache. First initial H, the rest of it Hitler. It's the same thing. You remove the press, you remove the free speech, you remove the actual factual information. You imprison and you jail your enemies. If they can't speak, then better for you, because if they can't speak out and say the actual truth, then your truth is now the de facto truth, which is really lies. And again, that is why they hate educating people. That is why they hate knowledge being shared. This is what they're afraid of. Only the minority will scream and bitch and moan about something that's not fair that actually is fair. They'll say, this isn't fair. It was cheated. It was rigged. It was a witch hunt, whatever it might be. When really, in actuality, they're just following the law. They're following the law. Law-abiding citizens. But Republicans don't want to do that. They want to break the law. They want to bend the will of the law in their favor. They want to make it so that everyone else has to pay these things and do time and not, they want to make sure that other people are the real recipients, right? Rules for thee, but not for me, right? That is what they want. They want to be people who can cheat the system, that can go through loopholes, that can commit crimes. No accountability, no responsibility. That is what they want. So that is why they need to keep everyone else dumb and not educated and not healthy. And God forbid they allow other people, like their constituents, to have a better life, to have better opportunities. But the only people doing that are the Democrats. Not these people like this fucking beta cuck over here who told the police officers to go hang themselves. But when you see them attack their own people and get upset because he got kicked out because he posted a photo of Alina Habba after she had lied to the judge, oh man, please give me more of that. Nom, nom, nom. Give me more, like a rack of ribs. Let me just go through that. Or like a corn on the cob, like just fucking typewriter. Delicious. Delicious. Because the more of this that you see, the more internal rot that will happen. The more internal destruction that will happen over small, petty things. Because these people are not happy when it goes the other way, when it doesn't go in their favor. Oh, what the hell? This is freedom of speech. I could post a photo. Yeah, well, sure. But when the person who took a photo with lied to help your daddy Trump, and now you're getting kicked out because you busted them, well, you're now enemy number one. Sorry, that's the way it goes. Donald Trump and his MAGA team will turn on anyone. It's the same reason that when you look at people who wanted to go buy condoms, right? Or any sort of contraception, right? Under a Republican world, they want, they overturn Roe v. Wade. They want to make sure everything's illegal. They don't have contraception anymore. If you're going to have sex, you're going to have a baby. And that's the way that God intended it. So then all of a sudden, when you see people who are like, hey, whoa, I just wanted to buy a condom. Nope, can't do that anymore. That's not allowed. Under Republican world, that's not allowed. Then you have unprotected sex. Then you have a baby. Oh, shit, I'm not old enough. I'm not responsible. I'm not ready enough. I'm not mature enough. I'm not in a financially stable position, because these are all reasons that a couple or a woman might say, hey, you know what? I cannot have a baby right now, and that is why I should be able to have an abortion. I don't want to put this baby into the foster system. I do not have the money to raise this. I am not, mature enough. I don't have the stability in my life to do that. And these are all real reasons. These are acceptable reasons that people, women, couples can say, you know what, right now is not the right time. Or, you know what, I don't think I'd be a great parent. And that's okay. That is completely acceptable. And guess what? It should not be the rule. It should not be made by regressive Republican policies. It should be made by the person who has to spend 9 months carrying that child. No one else should have a say in this except the person that is actually going to be in charge and responsible for either seeing that child or that baby to term and raising it. No one else should have a say in how their healthcare is handled. It should be between the doctor, their primary care physician, and themselves. That is what it is. But Republicans, they don't want that. And so again, as soon as policies go into effect that go the opposite way of what MAGA wants, they'll kick and scream and say, oh yeah, you know what? They'll point fingers and say Democrats are the reason, Democrats are the problem, Democrats are why our society is going to shit. But then you look at people like this, and he's literally threatening the police to go commit suicide. It's insane. And they say that they're for black to blue and they're America first and they love patriots. What is more patriotic than doing your job, like defending the Capitol? You work for the government, the U.S. Capitol Police. Tell me something that is more patriotic than doing your duty, other than, being president or someone else, whatever. But tell me that's not patriotic. Oh, I am holding true to the oath that I took in this office. I'm holding true to the oath that I took as a police officer. I will serve and protect. Serve and protect that building. I will serve and protect the lawmakers in this building. I will make sure that no one comes to harm because of a bunch of idiots like MAGA and like this Quattrucci kid. So now that New Hampshire's over, and now that Donald Trump has been injured, right? She's coming at him. She's coming for the knees, and she's doing a good job. And again, enemy of my enemy is my friend. We should push this type of wedge in the Republican Party. We should push this type of wedge with Quattrucci, in Habba, in Donald Trump, in MAGA. We should continue to say, oh yeah, they ratted you out. They turned you in. They kicked you out. You're no longer MAGA. You're no longer acceptable. And a lot of them saying, oh, I did so much work for them. I have done the most. He was literally in that video when he got kicked out. He said, I have done so much work for Donald Trump. No one has done more work than me. And that shows you right there. Someone who would literally give their life for Donald Trump is kicked out of a venue for posting a photo with Alina Habba, his lawyer. That's how you know that Donald Trump and his team do not give a shit about any of his people. They do not care. They give zero fucks about any of their people. That's the truth. And that is today's episode What was that live? So, what I want to tell you is that continue to drive this wedge. Continue to push this out there. Here, I'll put up the tweet again. This one was shared by Alex Cole, but if you go, let's search for Quattrucci. Boom. Okay. Dylan Quattrucci right here. Okay. At Dylan for America. Tweet at him. Share his post. Drive the wedge of MAGA and Trump. Here we go. Dylan Quattrucci did nothing wrong. Boom. Here's the video. I was just kicked out of Trump victory party for absolutely no reason. I was standing there speaking with other Trump supporters when I was asked to leave and pushed out of the venue. This is how they treat loyalty. Drive the wedge. Go to this account. Here, I'll put it in the chat right now. Go to this. Go to that tweet. Retweet it. Quote tweet it. Actually, don't retweet it, but quote tweet it with a message that says, Donald Trump stabbed you in the back. Donald Trump ratted you out. Donald Trump doesn't care about you. You did all this work for Donald Trump and look how he treated you. MAGA doesn't care about you. MAGA doesn't like you. Donald Trump doesn't actually like them. Whatever it might be. Any permutation of that or variety. But go to that account and quote tweet it. Quote tweet, share the video, post that shit, take a photo, whatever you got to do. Continue to drive a wedge. Boom. People are saying, well, here, I'll address this question really quick. You're not utilizing the whole screen on Twitch. I know that because in order to do this frame, I can't. The software I'm using, I can't go higher than where I am right now, allowing me to see my face and all that stuff. So that's why. So I want you to go to the link that I posted. I'll post it again in here. Your homework for tonight. I'll post it in Discord as well. Your homework for tonight is to quote tweet this video, comment on it, go in and say how much Donald Trump doesn't like Quattrucci, how much Donald Trump doesn't care about his constituents. Donald Trump doesn't care about MAGA. I've just put it in the Discord, in the live show chat. Also, if you don't know this, so as we wrap up the show, we went a little bit over, but I just felt like this was an important thing to talk about. Their loyalty is not loyalty, right? Donald Trump loves loyalty, but as soon as you cross him with something small like this, you're done. If you're not on Discord, go check us out. You can go to the Linktree at Linktree/I'm Gabe Sanchez. You can find the link in there. Come join, hang out. There's a live show chat that's happening. Also, make sure to like and subscribe, please. It helps the show spread. It helps the channel grow. We're at 21. Let's see, how many followers or how many subscribers do we have now? I got a little bit of a push recently, and we got over the 20,000 mark during the holidays. 21,000, almost 21,600 subscribers, which is awesome. I mean, like, the channel is growing, right? People are responding to the episodes that I'm putting out there, the scripted episodes, and now we brought back the live version. This is something that I really want to push forward as we lead into this 2024 general election. But we got to continue to drive the wedge between MAGA, between the Republican Party, between Donald Trump and his followers, because this right here is an example of how Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about any of them. Case in point. Whether or not Donald Trump knew about this, and he's like, oh, gotta go, doesn't matter. Other people in his party, like La Savita, which is the one that attacked Ramaswamy after Donald Trump attacked Ramaswamy. Right? And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe you're some people said, by the way, I released an episode. If you haven't seen it yet, it's another example and the final kind of nail in the coffin on this conspiracy that some people claim it to be, but this agreement that Ramaswamy and Donald Trump had, which is, if you go in as my spoiler candidate, then I will, at some point, I'm going to attack you because we need to find ourselves at a different point, right? You're on this part of the spectrum and I'm MAGA and you're not MAGA. And that is an example that happened last night. And I'll show you. Case in point. Here we go. In the clip that I'm going to show you right here, I'll play the clip first.
These are very dishonest people, and you're always fighting them. And just a little note
Here's
to
Vivek.
Nikki. She's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by
is
those
mob
people
talk, by
in
the way.
15 minutes.
This is how Donald Trump, who has won the New Hampshire primary, keep in mind, all right? It was announced that he had won almost in the very beginning, okay? We covered on the show, he won the New Hampshire primary. We knew it was going to happen, and it was announced pretty early on. This is his like, hey, I won, congratulations to me speech, okay? This is how he's treating Nikki Haley. If you do not, if Trump didn't feel threatened by Nikki Haley, then he would not be saying the mob talk that he's saying right now. Just listen.
Minutes, and I could tell you 5 reasons why already.
Okay, then say it.
Not
But he
big
won't.
reasons.
Not big
A
reasons.
little stuff that she doesn't want to talk about. But she will be under investigation within minutes.
For what?
And so would Ron have been, but he decided to get out.
So Donald Trump has blackmail, he has info on them to blackmail them, that Ron DeSantis was going to be charged with something? Then what is it? Reveal this shit. Do not say, oh, well, Nikki Haley, there's a lot of things. I mean, little things, but there's a lot of things, you know, at least 5 things I can name right now. Then do it.
He decided to get out.
2
Now,
weeks,
Vivek,
guys.
I don't
It'll take
think
me 2
would be
weeks
at
to
all
get it.
because he's perfect, right?
Yeah, look at that. Okay. Right here.
And so would
Listen.
Ron have been, but he decided to get out. He decided to get out. Now, Vivek, I don't think would be at all because he's perfect, right?
Vivek is perfect. Okay. Now, I don't think Vivek would because Vivek is perfect. This is Donald Trump. In the clip that I say, Trump says Vivek is perfect just 10 days after attacking him and saying Vivek is not MAGA. And I've covered this in many episodes about how, and I continue to push this forward because I think it's important. Vivek Ramaswamy was not a real candidate. Vivek Ramaswamy is not running to be president. Vivek Ramaswamy was a spoiler candidate for Donald Trump to split the vote from Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, and anyone else that was actually in the running. Okay? That was what his role was. To cause a bunch of chaos, go on stage, attack the candidates. Donald Trump would never have to show up. And Vivek Ramaswamy was the lackey who just did it for him. He was the buffer. He was the shield. He was the surrogate who was able to say these nasty things without Donald Trump getting his hands dirty. Okay? And then he sends out a tweet after Vivek Ramaswamy, boom, right before the Iowa caucus. We're talking like 2 days right before the Iowa caucus. This narrative is pushed that Vivek Ramaswamy is not MAGA. Vivek started his campaign as a great supporter, the best president in generations, etc. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of a deceitful campaign tricks. Very sly, but a vote for Vivek is not a vote, or a vote for Vivek is a vote for the other side. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your vote. Vivek is not MAGA. And 10 days later, he says, Vivek is perfect. So people online that were saying like, oh, Gabe, that's a conspiracy theory. Is it? Is it a conspiracy theory? Or have I lined up the evidence and you're unwilling to accept the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy wasn't a legitimate candidate? He was never there to win. He was never there as an acceptable person to actually be in the running for president. He was there to push away votes and split them and become the anti-Trump candidate before the Iowa caucus, so that when people looked and said, oh, I don't want to vote for Donald Trump, who would I vote for? Nikki Haley? Ron DeSantis? I don't know. I'm just reporting the news. I'm just asking questions. You guys make the decision, but I'm telling you right now, that is what is happening. That is what has happened. It was obvious. Anyway, I just want to say thank you all for coming to tonight's show. That is the episode. We went a little bit over just because I wanted to cover a little bit of these things from the New Hampshire primary. Tomorrow, I'm sure some new shit will hit the fan. Who knows what's going to happen? Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I will see you here for another episode of What Was That? Make sure also, if you haven't already, join the Twitch. Follow me over there, twitch.tv/I'm Gabe Sanchez. If you're over on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to join as a member and you want to contribute to the show, please do. I see some people that gave in some stickers. If you're on Discord, make sure to join the live chat by going to linktree/I'm Gabe Sanchez. and join the live chat during the show. Make sure to ask questions, bring up articles or topics or stories that you want me to cover. And also, I want to say thank you to all the wonderful moderators that we have that are working this show. Without them, the show would not be possible, and they do a great job. So if you want to support the show and you love the message and you love the narrative and what we're working on here as a community, then you can contribute over at Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/I'm Gabe Sanchez. Helps with equipment, helps with software, helps with editing. Because remember, I'm a one-man band over here. So I'm doing this all on my own. I don't have anyone in the background. It's just me kind of, moving pixels and clicking buttons. So I just want to say thank you all for coming to today's show. I will see you tomorrow at, again, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is the schedule. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll check you tomorrow for another What Was That Live? Because I'm sure, again, some new shit will hit the fan. And we'll see what happens with this Alina Habba story, because I don't see this playing out well for her. So anyway, with that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.